Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, I'm here today because I got an interesting question and she was afraid it was a dumb question when really it's a great question. What's the difference between long-term food storage and bug-out food storage? One might think, generally speaking, there isn't a difference, but really there is. It's just kind of depending on the situation you're setting yourself up for. So for those people who are planning on bugging in and they've got everything they need right where they're at and they don't plan on going anywhere because maybe they're already way out in the middle of nowhere and they're where they want to be, then they're just going to be looking at long-term food storage. So that's in case of crop failures or they don't have the ability to be able to get the foods that they normally would in whatever type of situation that may arise, be it a natural disaster or other, they've got the food stored up on hand. So that could be simply like with grains with me. A lot of the times, and I forgot to say this in the last video I did about food storage, is that if it's grains I'm working through right away and I'm not looking at long-term storage, like having it in there for years, especially in a place where I don't have daily access to, then I just keep them in the paper bags they come in, since I get all my grains now from Azure Standard, which I love the fact that they come in paper rather than plastic bags. And I take those bags and I put them in buckets. But for my longer term stuff that is actually not here on the property but is stored elsewhere, those I put in Mylar bags to help prevent rats from being able to sniff it out, because rats will chew through plastic. I seal up the Mylar bag and then I put that in buckets. So there's a difference between even those two things right there. But other types of long-term storage that you might do if you're bugging in would be home canned goods, be they soups, meats, vegetables, fruits, whatever that is, salsas and more, meatballs even, I've done that, and various other types of items. And the difference between those, though, and things that you would consider bug out items are the weight and the ease of being able to pack them from one place to another. So if you've got a big 50-gallon bucket full of grains, that's not going to be easy to just pack and go if you need to get out in a hurry, which is why I have my bug out or go bag sitting here. This isn't so much for bugging out, though, by the way. We just keep one of these in each of our rigs in case we're out somewhere, we're on a trip, we had to run to town, and we break down, we get caught in a snowstorm, anything can happen. And such things have come in handy for us several times. You just never know, there might be something in there, even if you don't break down or get caught in a blizzard. Sometimes you're just on the road and you realize, oh, I forgot to pack my water, but you know you got water bottles in your bag. But with that in mind, if you're having to pack and go, you're going to be looking at lightweight items such as dehydrated and freeze-dried foods. So I do have a lot of my own dehydrated foods, but those I pack in vacuum sealed jars. So though they're going to be a lot lighter than the canned goods, they're still not something I'd want to have to pack and go with because of the glass. And this is where things packed in Mylar come in handy, or even cans. So if you're one that buys freeze-dried foods in cans, or even if you freeze dry your own foods, you might be best off packing them. Oh, Mylar's not perfect, but when it comes to portability and the fact that it keeps the item sealed up and dark, that can be the way to go. It's not my favorite way, but since I have no interest in buying a freeze dryer, I do have some food that I get from Mother Earth Products that's already packed in these really nice, thick Mylar bags, and is sealed up well. And so I'll put a link to Mother Earth Products. They're my go-to place for that kind of stuff. This is actually dehydrated carrots. A lot of the stuff I'm not actually stocking up on for bugging out. I'm stocking up on for having extra for when I need it, since we don't grow bananas and we don't always grow a lot of carrots. Sometimes we can do okay and sometimes we don't get much of anything. So I always like to have a lot of carrots on hand. But at any rate, these are items that would be easy to grab and go. In fact, I actually have a tote, a plastic tote full of bags like this with various different types of fruits and vegetables. mostly the carrots because they're dehydrated, and then freeze-dried fruits because I don't really like most freeze-dried vegetables. That's just me. If I'm going to have dried vegetables, I usually prefer them dehydrated. Now, these foods do store long-term, so people might put these in their long-term food storage like I do. But to differentiate between those things that are going to stay in there, those things that are going to go. If you're bugging out, if you got to get out of Dodge for whatever reason, there's a tsunami, a blizzard, a hurricane, whatever it is, having foods that are already packed and ready to go like this are going to be easy. So like for us, if we had to do that, I could just grab that tote, and it's lightweight because it's full of foods like this, and just go. And I know that we have something. Now, there's a third scenario that would apply to either one of these, and that is if you have a bug out location. Now, people with a bug out location would very likely just use the same methods they would use at home, because they can just, as they're able, be putting that food up, whether it be canning it or freeze drying it or dehydrating it, and then putting it in buckets and jars and so on, and then taking it to their bug out location and just having it there, so that it's ready for them if they ever have to just up and go. That way they don't even have to worry about grabbing what they have at home. Everything's already set up for them. So really, when you're looking at this, there's three different situations. Though I still think it's a good idea to have some foods that are easy to just grab and go. And we also keep, even though Patrick doesn't care for sardines, I love sardines. And I also have a bunch of sardines on hand. And I get those from Costco. And so that would be something, though they're a little heavier because of the way they're packaged, that would be easy to just grab and go. Now, I do keep a can of sardines in my bag at all times in case we're stuck somewhere and, we need to dig into the bag. And I do put it all in the backpack because in case we have to leave the vehicle, then at least it's something, it'll be heavy, I can pick up and carry. But if I decide it's too heavy, some stuff would just simply come out. Now, if you're interested in the kinds of things I keep in my bug out bag, I actually have a series of bags. So I have a small bag, and then I have my regular purse, and then I have one that's a next size up, and then I have the full on bug out bag. And I did a full series on this. I can't even remember how many parts are in it because I was breaking things down a little bit at a time. And I did it, I think, 2 years ago. So I'll link to that full playlist down below if you're curious. And I think even since then, I've added stuff like something I hadn't thought of was having a clean pair of socks in here. So I do have some wool socks in here. In case something happens, my feet get wet, I have some socks to switch out with. Now, if I'm going to suggest things for, whether it be your long-term storage at home or in your bug out location, look at high-calorie, high-fat, high-protein foods such as nuts and nut butters and seeds that have a lot of minerals in them as well. Another good one because they're packed in olive oil, which is a fat, which is obviously high in calories. And so not only are you getting the protein from the sardines, you're getting that high fat, which is obviously high in calories. And so not only are you getting the protein from the sardines, you're getting a good healthy fat and calories. Now, I also have a couple of recipes that I've done on making your own food ration bars, which, by the way, can taste quite good. When I got to looking at the ingredients of, what's in a food ration bar? Something you just go buy. And when I read the ingredients, I'm like, this is just a glorified shortbread, and shortbread's pretty tasty. The reason why they're great is because you've got your carbs, you've got between the whatever flour you're using and the sugar that you're using, and then you've got fat. And so that's basically all that shortbread is fat, flour, and sugar. And then there's things that you can do to it and make it taste good. My favorite one is my oldest recipe I did over 6 years ago. That was the gingerbread food ration bar. And I even made a little icing to go on top. And I'll link to both the recipes down below. The other one is the chocolate one. That one turned out good too. I didn't like it near as much as the gingerbread one that I created. So those are my own recipes, by the way, and I have yet to get around to typing those up, but maybe someday I'll try to remember to do that. But anyway, I'll link to both of those down below because that's something you can make yourself and then put in your bug out bags or put in your bug out locations or keep in your cars or whatever, just so you have something to sustain yourself in the instance that you're stuck somewhere and you don't have access to food. But I think of having as many different things that you can carry, like the sardines. And I think I have some chocolate food ration bars in here as well. I do try to switch those things out every so often. But yeah, typically what we're looking at for bug out stuff is not just lightweight stuff like this, but even stuff that's going to be high calorie to keep your energy up, to, so carbs are going to be really important in this case. So, if you're on a keto diet, low carb diet, whatever it is, there's going to be a time you're going to want those carbs. Carbs are necessary. We do need them. The problem is that, at least with most Americans, they eat far too many carbs. So it's really about balance. But anyway, carbs do have a purpose. So it's looking at the healthy carbs, not the empty carbs, like a processed white sugar and so on. Not all sugar is poison, and not all sugar is evil. It's about the type of sugar you're getting, making sure you're getting a good quality, even if it's in the form of raw honey or maple syrup. Real maple syrup, not that imitation stuff that's made with GMO corn syrup and artificial maple flavoring. Look at real maple syrup. So having high carb foods on hand is going to be important regardless of what your diet is. In the event of food shortages, you are going to need that. The high fats, the high carbs, they're going to be very important to keep you sustained. So anyway, I hope you found that helpful, and that I covered a few extra points too that I wanted to go over, and leading you back to some older videos I already have out, such as the everyday carry / bug out bag series, and then also those food ration bar videos, and anything else I can think that might apply to this topic I'll put in the description box down below, because I have about 1,800 videos out there right now, all different topics, but a lot of them covering things just like this. And any thoughts, ideas, suggestions you want to add to this, please put them in comments down below. And thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.